All right, what's going on? Welcome into the Chiefs Zone Podcast. Farzine Vasugian here with you after Super Bowl Sunday. The season is officially over, and I wish we could say we ended on a great note. If you're a Seattle Seahawks player, coach, fan, yeah, you certainly might feel that way. But other than that, no, did not end the season on the greatest note. And you're starting to see a lot of people online starting to admit that they miss Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Yeah, whenever the Chiefs are in a Super Bowl, people pay attention. But nonetheless, the Seattle Seahawks, they took care of business tonight, taking care of the Patriots with ease. We'll talk about that game. Why did things unfold the way they did? There was this big expectation that the Seahawks would win in a one-sided game and that the Patriots would struggle. A lot of people are talking about the Patriots and basically how their schedule and their path to getting to the Super Bowl was easy. We heard all postseason long that this is the most wide open the NFL's ever been, especially on the AFC side of things. So what was accomplished for the Patriots this year? Because I see a lot of people taking away from their season and everything they did to get to this point. So I'll share you my thoughts on that. And I want to hear from you guys as well. So joining on the conversation below, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram. So comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I definitely want to hear from you guys and see how you guys are feeling about this Super Bowl. Because there are a lot of opinions about this Patriots team. Some people are down on the Patriots. Some people think they're going to be back. People feel like with a more difficult schedule next year, they're going to get exposed. There are a lot of reactions to this Patriots team right now. And I think it's very interesting. People don't really have too much to say when someone's winning. And as soon as, they have a game like this, you hear people talk about the downfall. You heard it last year with the Chiefs, excuse me. And now you're kind of seeing it with the Patriots. Not that this Patriots team was winning championships with Vrabel at the helm and Drake May at QB. I mean, those guys have only been around for a year or two, but people are already thinking that this Patriots team, this is the best that you're going to see with this core group of coaches and players in New England. I think that's very interesting. At least that's a takeaway I'm getting from it. So I want to hear from you guys on that. Super Bowl commercials, I mean, they're all right. We had a friend of ours, Deron Cherry, who got a nice shout out in the Uber Eats commercial. I actually texted Deron about that when it happened. So that was pretty cool. That's pretty cool for Deron. And by the way, some Chiefs news this morning, and really for the last couple of days regarding Travis Kelce, and it basically sounds like, not that, this was a shocker to anyone, but it sounds like Travis Kelce is coming back. The more and more reports we get, the more it sounds like he is set to come back. So we'll discuss that here and more on this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. This is brought to you by SeatGeek. The football season is over, but there's still a lot of action in 2026. The NBA, the NHL, college basketball. Big game tomorrow at Allen Fieldhouse. Baseball season is coming up real soon. If you guys want to catch any of the action, all you've got to do is go to SeatGeek. Pick your tickets there, and at checkout, if you're a new customer, you can use my promo code FARZINE and save $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. If you haven't purchased from SeatGeek before, what are you waiting for? Now is the best time to do so, and new customers at checkout can use my promo code FARZINE, save $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. All right. Let's get right into it here. Seahawks 29, Patriots 13. My score prediction was 34-24. Fairly close on the Seahawks side of things. The Patriots part, not so much. Fairly off on that one. Kenneth Walker, he won Super Bowl MVP. I wanted it to be the kicker. We've never seen a kicker win Super Bowl MVP before. It's funny because Nick Lowry was on my podcast the week of Super Bowl 58. He actually predicted Harrison Butker to win Super Bowl MVP, and I thought Butker actually had a legitimate shot because he had the longest kick of all time. And who knows if there was a chance to win with a game-winning field goal. That's not how it happened, but boy, I mean, it was actually a fairly good prediction. I thought Jason Myers had a chance. 5 field goals. He doesn't get the MVP. Oh, come on. You gotta. See, he is responsible for 17 points. 17 points. And look, I don't want to take away from AJ Barner and his touchdown score, and then the defensive touchdown from Byron Murphy. Or who did have that? Was that a fumble recovery or an interception? That was an interception by Nuasu. I don't want to take away from any of that, but he kicked 5 field goals. He's responsible for more than half the points tonight. I thought he should have been the Super Bowl MVP, but that's just my opinion. I don't get a vote on those things. But as far as how things unfolded, I mean, the Patriots, they showed a little bit of fight in the end there, but I honestly thought a lot of these touchdown scores really came in garbage time. We did not get our first touchdown score until the fourth quarter. The first 3 quarters, all field goals from the Seahawks, specifically Jason Myers. Drake May in this game was sacked 6 times. Darnold was sacked just once. And by the way, when you watch the Seattle Seahawks, some of the things that they do, pass protection, running the football, blitzing with their defensive backs, pass rush with just a defensive line, just a 4-man rush. Oh boy, those are things the Chiefs really need to figure out. But neither here nor there. We can discuss the Chiefs another time. But on the Patriots side of things, what happened? Was it the level of competition? Because people make such a big deal about the schedule, which, by the way, I hear a lot of people talk about the first place schedule, second place. The Chiefs are getting a third place schedule next year, but it's actually not as easy as some might think. It's only 3 games that's different from the rest of your division rivals. I mean, sure, you may not play in the same location, home or away with some of the teams, but it's only 3 games that's different. And yes, 3 is kind of a significant number because in a 17-game season, 3 is a fairly, I don't want to say a big number, but it's a significant number. You go on a 3-game winning streak, that's huge in the NFL. But the Patriots, a lot of people are leaning on the fact that this team took advantage of an easy schedule to get the number 2 seed, essentially winning 14 games, and they had the easiest path possible to a Super Bowl because they played Justin Herbert, had a banged up offensive line. They went up against CJ Stroud, who did terrible in the 2 postseason games that he played in. And on top of that, you played a Broncos team in the AFC Championship game that had Jarrett Stidham, not Bo Nix, starting in that game. So here's my question to you guys. What do you make of the New England Patriots tonight? And I don't want to take away from the Seattle Seahawks. We will get into the Seattle Seahawks because I think that Sam Darnold story, very significant, everything that he accomplished to get to this point. I mean, look at the draft class that he was a part of. That dude was 1 season away from following Josh Rosen's footsteps out of the NFL. And he's the first one to not only play in a Super Bowl, but win a Super Bowl. The QB draft class that he was a part of. We'll get into that shortly. But I want to know from you guys, what are your thoughts on this New England Patriots football team? Because I think this Patriots football team, from a defensive perspective, and this shouldn't surprise any of you, this is a damn good defensive football team. Listen, the Seahawks didn't necessarily light up the scoreboard in this game here. They didn't get their first touchdown until the fourth quarter. And that's, again, no shocker because they're led by Mike Vrabel, who was a great defensive assistant when he quickly climbed his way up the ladder in the coaching ranks and became the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, now the head coach of the New England Patriots. And here's my one thing, because if you're going to tell me that the Patriots, they only won 14, forget about the postseason. Because when we're talking about the schedule, we're only talking about the regular season. If you're going to take away any credit from the Patriots this season by saying they had an easy schedule, so you have to, you should have expected them to win 14 games. You can't sit here and tell me, well, the Patriots only won 14 games because they had an easy schedule. Did we expect that, though? Listen, if you guys saw my predictions before the season, I had the Patriots making it to the playoffs, and a lot of you guys mocked me for that. Now, turns out the Patriots did make the playoffs, but they played way better than I expected them to play in their first year with Mike Vrabel. So this is a football team that, sure, you want to talk about easy schedule, have that conversation all day long if you want, but nobody expected them to win 14 games. Find me one analyst, one fan, not even the most blind Patriots homer, predicted 14 wins for that team. I mean, nobody thought the Patriots were going to be this good in their first year with Mike Vrabel at the helm. So I think people are maybe showing a little bit of disrespect to that Patriots team. Listen, did the Patriots get exposed tonight? I would say to an extent. And yes, I'm on your right. Christian Gonzalez, one hell of a cornerback. That guy probably prevented a touchdown very early on in this football game. Yes, sure, the Patriots went. Maybe the Patriots had an easy path to the Super Bowl in the postseason because they faced Justin Herbert in a banged up offensive line. They faced CJ Stroud, who was really bad in these two postseason games that he was a part of. And if you listen to that game between the Patriots and the Texans, Troy Aikman on that broadcast said that CJ Stroud is chasing his rookie season, and he's absolutely right. But here's my one big thing. You cannot ever apologize for winning in the NFL. Wins are never easy. Now let's talk about that AFC Championship game, because I know Buffalo Bills fans, they're having their Super Bowl parade right now. Because the idea of Drake May playing in a Super Bowl before Josh Allen, that boils their skin. If Drake May was holding that Lombardi trophy tonight, Bills fans would not sleep tonight. I mean, tables would be burning to the ground in Buffalo. But with Drake May, this is his second season. Again, nobody expected Drake May to be an MVP candidate. Nobody expected the Patriots to win 14 games. And to go back to my point about their path in the postseason, that Denver game, the AFC Championship game, that was a winnable game for both teams. That was a winnable game for Denver with Jarrett Stidham. Listen, you want to talk about how the Patriots only scored 10 points in that game? Look at the field conditions. Look at the team you face on the road. Again, wins are never easy. I don't care who it's against. Sure, there are some easier teams in the NFL. I'm not going to disregard that. I know a lot of people have this thought that, well, they're all professionals. Come on. There are easy teams to go up against in the NFL. Yes, there are upsets from time to time, but more times than not, when a really good team faces a really bad team, you know which team will win 99 times out of 100. So let's not kid ourselves here. Here's what I think about the Patriots. I think they had a great season, and I don't think that should be taken away from them. Listen, they made it to the Super Bowl. They won the AFC. The Chiefs didn't win the AFC. The Bengals didn't win the AFC. The Bills didn't win the AFC. The Broncos didn't win. The Ravens. I mean, 4 of those 5 teams I mentioned, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Bengals. Did anyone think those would have not been the 4 best candidates, the 4 best odds to win the AFC? It ended up being Broncos versus Patriots. Nobody expected that AFC Championship game. So give credit where credit's due. Sure, you got an easy. I remember in 2013 when the Chiefs had that 9-0 start, everybody was making a big deal about how they had an easy schedule during the 9-0 start. But I think a lot of people forget a lot of those 9 teams the Chiefs beat, they got their ass kicked by the year before in 2012 when they only won 2 games. So you can only play who's on your schedule. You can't ever apologize that, you have a postseason match against a quarterback that's just not doing well, or a team that has to use a backup quarterback. You just cannot do that. I think this was a good season for the Patriots. I think inexperience, ultimately, yes, they have Stephon Diggs, and I see a couple comments about Stephon Diggs. But with Stephon Diggs, outside of him, there aren't a lot of players on that offensive side of the football that a lot of people look to for leadership. So listen, give Drake May time. I'm a big fan of Mike Vrabel, man. Look at Tennessee. Do you not think Tennessee regrets firing Mike Vrabel? Who were their two options for their head coaching search this year? It was Robert Saleh, who they ended up going with. Who was the other option? Matt Nagy. Do you not? I mean, they are regretting firing Mike Vrabel, who, by the way, won Coach of the Year. Some, by the way, call him Mike Verbal, but I'll let you guys figure that one out. Look, if I had to tell you guys right now, will the Patriots win a Super Bowl with Mike Vrabel as their head coach and Drake May as their quarterback? I will bet on that one. I don't know when, but I will bet on that, because let's not kid ourselves. I think the thought is the Chiefs are going to figure it out. There's just no way they don't. And I think with the offensive coaching changes they've made so far this year, I think that's pretty significant alone. They still need to do some work with the personnel, but I think they're already moving in the right direction with Eric Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator coming back and Chad O'Shea as the wide receivers coach, something that this wide receiver room desperately needed. I mean, they needed a better wide receivers coach and a better offensive coordinator. And I think you're going to see growth from the young wide receivers on this team. But I just feel like, yes, the Chiefs are going to come back. I think the Bengals are expected to bounce back. I think the Ravens, people expect them to bounce back. The Bills, I mean, this was the most wide open AFC in quite some time, and they couldn't get to a Super Bowl or even an AFC championship game, but they're still going to be around. If CJ Stroud can play like he did his rookie year and make progress from there, hey, the Texans are a team that could be a threat for a year or two. So I listen, it's hard to predict what the AFC is going to look like next year in terms of the playoff picture, but I would expect the Patriots to be a part of it. I mean, listen, Mike Vrabel, look what he did in Tennessee. Derrick Henry went down with an injury, and they still found a way to get the number one seed. Unfortunately for them, when Derrick Henry came back for the playoffs, they lost to I think it was the Bengals, who beat the Chiefs the following week. So, no, it didn't go the way they wanted it to there ultimately, but look where, who their quarterback was? Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill couldn't do anything in Miami. And you look at Drake May. Drake May went from, an up and down rookie season last year to an MVP candidate. I mean, his second season, I know a lot of Patriots fans are comparing Drake May's second season to Patrick Mahomes' second season. Sure, they both reached the Super Bowl in their second season as a starter, that is. But I think, pump the brakes on the comparison a little bit. Mahomes had 50 touchdown passes and 5,000 passing yards. Drake May still did great and was an MVP candidate. But I do think the Patriots will win a championship under this group. They've got to work on that offensive line. I mean, that someone said it earlier, and I missed who that was. You're not going to win a Super Bowl or any game for that matter, allowing 6 sacks. I mean, listen, we've seen in 2 Super Bowls what Patrick Mahomes, the trouble he had when the offensive line did not help him. So you got to have an offensive line in football. And I trust that Vrabel is going to improve that for them. And listen, I know a lot of people, when they hear Josh McDaniels' name, they think about his time with the Broncos and the Raiders as a head coach. Forget about Josh McDaniels, the head coach. When it comes to Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, dude, I think we got to have a serious conversation. This guy might honestly be one of the best offensive coordinators of all time. And keep in mind, I think when Charlie Weiss left for Notre Dame, wasn't Josh McDaniels the immediate replacement, or did he move on also? I don't remember the timeline of events there. But Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator, whether it was Tom Brady there, even that 1 year with Mac Jones, the Patriots looked great during Mac Jones' rookie season for a little bit there. Remember, they had the number 1 seed And then before that, I think they lost 4 of their last 6 games, something weird like that. But they looked like a complete football team. And that led to McDaniels getting a head coaching job with the Raiders. And now he's back in New England. And guess what? Drake May's playing great. Man, Josh McDaniels is a special offensive coordinator. And I don't think that gets discussed enough. I think he might be one of the best offensive coordinators of all time when it's all said and done for him. I don't think a lot of people recognize that with Josh McDaniels. Listen, I feel the same way about Charlie Weiss. You can't think of Charlie Weiss, the head coach of Kansas, which, by the way, was a complete and utter disaster, and I know it because I had a front row seat to that. But you can't if we're talking about Charlie Weiss as an OC, man, bring that guy to my team any day. I like Charlie Weiss, the offensive coordinator. I don't like Charlie Weiss, the head coach. Romeo Crennel, the head coach, didn't work out. Had one good season with Cleveland. And he had one nice moment with the Chiefs as an interim head coach when they handed the Packers their first loss of the season. Considering at the time he was named the interim head coach 6 days prior. But Romeo Crennel is not a good head coach. Romeo Crennel, phenomenal defensive coordinator. And this is the hill I'll die on with Romeo Crennel and his time in Kansas City. Romeo Crennel is responsible for helping boost Derek Johnson's and Tamba Hali's careers. I think those two guys learned a lot from Romeo Crennel. And I think Justin Houston got a nice jump start to his career, having Rack as his defensive coordinator. He just didn't work out as a head coach. Some guys are not good head coaches, but they're phenomenal coordinators. Josh McDaniels fits that bill. So I think a lot of people need to give him credit because I think he had a really big hand in New England's success this season. All right, I do want to switch to the other side and talk about the Seattle Seahawks because they, of course, are your Super Bowl champions, winning 29-13. Sam Darnold didn't necessarily have the greatest game, 19 of 38, 202 yards, a fairly quiet game for him. And listen, like we said earlier, this Patriots defense, they're for real. You can't take credit away from them. Didn't necessarily have the biggest game. Jackson Smith-Njigba, who was the popular pick by a lot of people to win Super Bowl MVP, won the Offensive Player of the Year award. Very quiet game for him. 4 catches, 27 yards. Left the game to get evaluated for an injury, but he was okay. He came back. Cooper Kupp was their best pass catcher. I don't know if a lot of people expected that. He had 6 catches for 61 yards in this one. Their tight end, A.J. Barner, had a touchdown catch in this one here to kind of help extend their lead and gradually help pull away from the Patriots in this one. And then they had that nice defensive touchdown. Kenneth Walker, of course, he had the big night, averaging 5 yards a carry, 27 runs, 135 yards. Should have had more, but there was that holding call near the end of the game that took it away. But that doesn't take away from what happened, of course, winning Super Bowl MVP. Where was that? I got a couple of people telling me that predicting a non-quarterback to win Super Bowl MVP was a foolish idea. Yeah, that didn't age well. But Kenneth Walker, man, good for him. And I hate to say this, what his performance reminds me of? It reminds me a lot of Le'Veon Bell against Kansas City when the Steelers visited the Chiefs for that divisional round game. Remember that one? I think that was the last Chiefs game before the Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs scored 2 touchdowns in that one. The Steelers scored 0 touchdowns. They had all field goals, but Le'Veon Bell had a hell of a night, and he showed a lot of patience. And I know Chris Collinsworth was talking about Kenneth Walker's patience, even mentioning, his nickname, Walker, because he was, walking up to the line of scrimmage a little bit, waiting for that hole to open up from that offensive line. And so it just reminded me a lot of what Le'Veon Bell did against Kansas City about 10 or 11 years ago in that divisional round game. As much as it pains me to say, I think those two performances between Kenneth Walker and Le'Veon Bell are very, very similar. Well, let's talk about Sam Darnold for a moment. This guy came from a draft class where it was Baker Mayfield number 1, Sam Darnold number 3, Josh Rosen was part of this draft class, Josh Allen, who's been the most successful, was part of this draft class as well. Lamar Jackson, who's a 2-time MVP, was selected last in the first round of the 5. I mean, 2 years ago, if anyone told you that Sam Darnold was going to go to a Super Bowl or even win it, you would have said you're out of your mind. You would have, if you had to bet on anyone, you would have easily picked either Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. You would have even given Baker Mayfield the benefit of the doubt of possibly getting to a Super Bowl. But none of those guys I mentioned have been to a Super Bowl yet. Josh Rosen is out of the NFL. What is he? I think he's studying business. I mean, he's back in college now. And listen, good for him. He made some money. Didn't go the way he thought it was going to go. Obviously, no one ever wants things to unfold that way. And he's doing good things in his life now. But Sam Darnold, this guy was one season away from following Josh Rosen out of the league. And when you look at Sam Darnold and just the path, essentially these last 2 seasons, listen, you never want to see an injury ever in this sport. Like, let's be completely honest about that. But Sam Darnold did benefit from it. Because let's be honest, if Sam Darnold did not take advantage of the opportunity, somebody else was going to. And he made the most of his opportunity with Minnesota last season, winning 14 games. He switches teams because Minnesota wanted to move forward with the younger quarterback, which is completely understandable. But that didn't work out for them too much. To the point where there are rumors that Kirk Cousins might even go back to Minnesota. Never thought we'd be saying that. But Sam Darnold goes to Seattle. And Seattle took a risk bringing in Cooper Kupp, who had been dealing with some injuries. And they move on from Tyler Lockett, Metcalf. I mean, 2 speedy guys that played a big role in Seattle's success over the years on the offensive side of the football. And a lot of people wondered, can they really win with Sam Darnold, with Cooper Kupp? Nobody could really tell you much about their running game or the rest of their wide receiver core. But they pulled through. They won a Super Bowl. And again, I know the offense didn't necessarily have the greatest game, only 202 passing yards from Sam Darnold. But they did a lot to get to this point. And even though it was the passing game that really carried the offense, well, tonight, the roles kind of flipped to where Kenneth Walker said, okay, you guys have done a lot of the legwork to get to this point. I'll help you guys out because the Patriots defense just too damn good tonight. And that's what led him to get MVP for this game. So for Sam Darnold, good on him. He went to Minnesota, won 14 games with them. Look how they did without him this year. Won 14 games again, 2 years in a row. And I think they mentioned this on the broadcast, the last quarterback to win 14 games back-to-back seasons, Tom Brady in 02 and 03. Or 03 and 04. I can't remember which 2 seasons it was. I mean, doing something that has not been done since Tom Brady. And I'm not here to say, okay, let's compare him to Tom Brady. I'm not saying that at all, but man, I mean, sometimes you just need to find yourself in the right place. And look, it's not like Minnesota had all this great talent. Yes, Justin Jefferson is an amazing wide receiver, but look how JJ did without Sam Darnold this season. Look at where the Seahawks were before Sam Darnold. These 2 teams, the Patriots and the Seahawks, didn't make the playoffs last year. So Sam Darnold was a significant part in helping this team not only improve, but reach a Super Bowl and become Super Bowl champions. So good on Sam Darnold. I think this is a story a lot of people like. Comeback stories, bounce back stories like this, we love it. Listen, we can respect greatness like a Tom Brady, like a Patrick Mahomes, but let's be honest, unless you're a Chiefs fan or a fan of any quarterback that's dominating, it gets tiresome to a lot of people. You don't want to see the same teams winning over and over again because you get pretty jealous of that. I think we've experienced that other side of it now in Kansas City after seeing the inverse of that with New England for almost 2 decades. So at the end of the day, this is a feel-good story. And it's a story of never giving up and pushing through, grinding it out, even if it means changing teams so many times, being on 5 different teams in the span of 8 years. Not Josh Allen, not Lamar Jackson, not Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, the first quarterback from his draft class in 2018 to reach and win a Super Bowl. So good on him. And listen, we'll see what the Seahawks team does. I know a lot of people talk about this offense. I think their defense is pretty good as well. We'll see with Clint Kubiak moving on to become the Raiders head coach. That should be official within the next couple of days now. I would imagine he does it after the parade. I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to be interesting because Fernando Mendoza is going to go to the Raiders, and obviously we'll follow that one very closely given that it's part of the AFC West. So we'll see how the Seahawks look without Clint Kubiak, and how does that look for the Raiders. Listen, let me just say this about the Raiders, because I put out my ranking of the 10 new head coaching hires for this season, and I think I put the Raiders at 6 or 7. And I got a couple, pushback from good old Raider Nation. I think Clint Kubiak is a good hire. But what kind of an impact is he going to make? I mean, listen, Antonio Pierce was supposed to be the savior of this franchise 2 years ago. He didn't last a full year as a full-time head coach. Pete Carroll, who has a great history coaching in college and the NFL, he was supposed to be the guy who turns the Raiders around. Didn't even come close to that. He also didn't last a full year. So listen, I think Clint Kubiak will get a couple of years at the very least. But why am I to believe this is any different for the Raiders? This is what, their 16th head coaching hire since 2000? Listen, I'm sorry, man. I said this a year ago, this time when the Raiders hired Pete Carroll. Hiring a guy in his early to mid 70s. Why does it even matter early to mid 70s? It's his 70s. But what I said at the time is, sure, if you're going to fire Antonio Pierce, who was never even a coordinator, he was a positions coach, a linebackers coach, I think. I guess you do it to get Pete Carroll, but with the Raiders, it doesn't matter who you get. Doesn't matter if you get Pete Carroll. Doesn't matter if you get Devontae Adams as your star wide receiver. With the Raiders, it's gotten to the point where you'll believe it when you see it. Listen, Max Crosby sounds like he's got 2 feet out the door, and that the Raiders just need to find a trade partner for him. They can probably get some good draft capital out of Max Crosby to help their franchise. They certainly can. That's on the table. But with the Raiders, I don't care how good their roster looks on paper. I've heard this story time and time again. I'll believe it when I see it with the Raiders. So for Clint Kubiak, who just won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks, we'll see how the Seahawks look and if he can carry that success over to Vegas, because Lord knows they need that. It's been a long time since they've had any kind of success. What is it, 22 years now without a playoff win? 22 years? 22 years. That's how long it's been for the Raiders. Okay, I do want to talk about the Super Bowl commercials. Did you guys like the Super Bowl commercials today? Did any of them stand out to you? I really like the Jurassic Park one. It kind of reminded me of the season finale, the second season finale of The Mandalorian, where they brought back, I can't remember the actor for Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill. They brought him back in his old form with CGI, of course. They did that with Jurassic Park. And I got a kick out of the characters who were at the water park, just having a good time, chilling. I love that. That was great, especially with the classic Jurassic Park theme. That was pretty good. That one was really good. I was on my phone, just doing content like I normally do, and all of a sudden I hear Matthew McConaughey sing Duran Cherry. I'm like, what is going on? I thought Duran Cherry was on a commercial for a moment, but no, it was just, a shout out to our good friend Duran Cherry. I texted Duran when that happened. He just had a very short response saying that was pretty cool. I'm sure his phone blew up when that happened. So listen, I'm happy for Duran. He's been nothing but extremely generous to us. And his foundation, his people, shout outs to Aaron, Ashley, several other people over at the Duran Cherry Foundation. They've been nothing but great to us. And I was really happy for Duran. So he deserved that. He's never been in a Super Bowl before. So, and listen, the Chiefs, we were hoping for a 4th straight Super Bowl appearance. Well, if we couldn't get that, we'll get a Duran Cherry reference. We'll take that one. Let's see. What did you guys like? The sitcom montage was cool. T-Mobile was good. State Farm commercial. How about the Backstreet Boys? I guess they had 2 commercials, sort of. They had the T-Mobile one, and then there was another one. I don't remember what the what was the business. But it was like a karaoke commercial where they mixed up the lyrics and whatnot. I'm like, wow, the Backstreet Boys are having a way better night than the New England Patriots. That was interesting. Dunkin' Donuts commercial. Christian says a Budweiser. Yeah. Pepsi with the polar bear. I'll be honest, I missed that one. T-Mobile was good. Yeah, I think that was the one I was referencing with the Backstreet Boys. All right, let's get I don't want to get too controversial here. Let's be respectful of opinions here. Be honest, no judgment from me. I watched both. Which halftime show did you guys watch? By the way, I guess I misunderstood earlier in the week. I was under the impression that Green Day was going to perform with Bad Bunny, but Green Day was the opening act of the Super Bowl, which, by the way, loved Green Day in the mid-2000s. I was bummed out they did not sing Wake Me Up When September Ends, but we're not going to get into, what I was not happy about with that one. I still enjoyed that. Love hearing Holiday, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, and American Idiot. But the halftime show, listen, I could not tell you a single Bad Bunny song. And there was all of this conflict. Is he going to wear a dress? I don't think he wore a dress. I mean, he had a wardrobe change a couple of times, but I did not pick up on anything controversial. I don't think so. I mean, he said, God bless the USA. So that was good. And then I did pay attention to the Turning Point USA halftime show. I'll be completely honest. I don't remember the names of the other 3 singers. I don't know. Listen, I'm not saying their music is bad. I'm just not familiar with their music. Kind of like how I'm not familiar with Bad Bunny. Kid Rock. I remember WWE would use a lot of Kid Rock's music from back in the day in the Attitude Era. And I know the Chiefs would use Ball with the Ball at a lot of their home games. It's been a while since I think they last played that song, but I remember that was my first time hearing that song, was at Arrowhead Stadium and at all the Chiefs events. I remember there was a one off season where the Chiefs would do meet and greets, which I wish they did more of that. And, they would have a DJ there and they would always play that song. It got to the point where the Turning Point halftime went on for way too long. So, I mean, I did not watch much of the Kid Rock portion of it, but the part I saw was pretty good. Listen, people are picking and choosing. I think depending on your political allegiance, you have a preference. I think people are just going with political allegiance on this one, which again, that's up to you. I'm not going to tell you which musician is good just because of politics. That's what a lot of people do. But you know what, man? This Super Bowl did not have a lot of hype this week. Whenever I posted about the Super Bowl, none of you all cared. But whenever I posted about the halftime show this week or tonight, you all cared. You guys all gave a damn about the Super Bowl halftime show. And listen, it's up to you guys. Robert says I'm old as F. Green Day. Oh, dude. Yeah, Green Day's been around a really long time. But that album from the mid 2000s, I mean, that was their best. That absolutely was. Listen, I like both halftime shows. I didn't really dislike either one. Everyone has their preference. I don't know if that's truly for musical reasons or other reasons, but I guess, who am I to dictate or tell you how you should feel? That's up to you guys. All I'm saying is, oh, by the way, Clint Kubiak officially confirms the Raiders job. These guys obviously cannot confirm anything until their season is over with, and regardless, win or lose, Seattle season was over. So Kubiak does officially confirm the Raiders job, but that's not groundbreaking. Listen, I don't decide whether a song or a musician is good or bad based on politics. That's just not me. A lot of people do that nowadays. Not me. That's all. That's all I'm going to say about that. Dude, people will decide whether or not an athlete is good based on their politics. I mean, we are at that point right now in our society, but I don't want to get into that too much. San Fran just doesn't seem to have a good Super Bowl site. I've never been to San Francisco. I know McAfee had really good things to say about San Francisco. So it was kind of to my surprise. I think they were mentioned when they were introducing a couple of the Super Bowl MVPs. They mentioned Peyton Manning winning Super Bowl 50, his last season with the Broncos, and the public address announcer mentioned that it was in San Francisco. So obviously the NFL likes going to San Francisco for milestone Super Bowls. I will say this. I thought Media Week was really weird. It looked like they just put all the coaches and players at some warehouse. I mean, anywhere else they go, it's either a nearby arena, it's a big convention center, or they use the actual stadium where the game is going to be played in, and they use that for Media Week. I thought it was kind of weird that everyone was put in some weird warehouse in the San Francisco Bay Area. I mean, I don't know where this was. I got a friend of mine who went out there with Meta. I'll have to ask him, if he can share any of that, because that was kind of a strange Super Bowl Media Week. That really was. Oh yeah, I know it's in Santa Clara, but it's part of the San Francisco area. I mean, listen, next year's Super Bowl is going to be at SoFi Stadium. It's technically Inglewood, but everyone's going to be calling it LA. It's kind of like, I guess it's not the greatest example, but if the Chiefs get a Super Bowl, when they get a Super Bowl at their new stadium, it's technically still going to be Kansas City, which again, that's what I'm saying is not the best example. But if it was not KCK, if that area just happened to be Overland Park, people would still be calling it Kansas City. Whenever they go to Arlington for a Super Bowl, they still call it Dallas, the Dallas area. So, yeah, I mean, yes, I know it is Santa Clara, but people still call it, the San Francisco area, which is why I said the San Francisco Bay Area when I was talking about picking a random warehouse for Media Week. So I don't know. I'm not in that area, but that's just, again, they seem to like going there for milestone Super Bowls. So take that for what it's worth to you. Last thing I do want to discuss tonight, and this has been something that the national media has been talking about for a couple of days. If you remember, last week, Clark Hunt was on NFL Network to promote the 101 Awards, which will take place later in the offseason. And he spent some time with the NFL. It was the Good Morning Football crew. And they spent some time talking about the Chiefs, the new stadium, so many other things. And one of the things that was brought up was Travis Kelce and how, is he going to come back? What do the Chiefs want to do? Clark Hunt said that they basically welcome him back with open arms. Diana Rossini of The Athletic yesterday on a Saturday morning, mind you, she reported that while this is her exact quote in the article she wrote on The Athletic, while retirement has been discussed, many close to him believe he could return for at least one more season. A final decision has yet to be made, but a 14th season is looking more real than ever. And then this morning, Ian Rappaport had a story of his own saying that the Chiefs hope to have Pro Bowl tight end Travis Kelce back for 2026 with plans to talk following Super Bowl 60. And if you read the actual article that Rappaport wrote for NFL.com, he mentions that after the Super Bowl, quote, they plan to get together to finalize a plan that works for both parties for the upcoming season. So, listen, is this groundbreaking news? Not really, because if you listen to Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce's podcast when they talked about Eric Bieniemy coming back to the Chiefs, it was unofficial at the time, but, Jason Kelce brought it up and Kelce reacted to it. Kelce did say, I'm excited to see him back in the building. A retired player does not say that. A retired player does not say that. And I think, that was just Travis Kelce, probably just, slip of the tongue, said something he shouldn't have said in that moment. So maybe it was one of those things. I don't know. But it does sound like Travis Kelce is coming back. Look, I know there were some comments earlier on the show. People were already talking about Travis Kelce, whether or not he should come back. Look, let's talk about this. Is there a benefit? If Travis Kelce wants to come back, that's his choice. But is there a benefit for the Chiefs in bringing back Travis Kelce? I think the answer is yes, by the way. I think a lot of people are not necessarily giving the credit that Kelce does deserve for this season. Look at last year. Kelce had 97 receptions. I'm talking last year. If we compare that to the rest of his career, that is the fourth most. And he had 823 yards. Kelce, by the way, ranked top 5 in receptions and receiving yards. Now, his yards per catch average, by far the fewest of his career, 8.5 yards per catch. He's never had a single season where he was below 10 yards a reception. And last year was the first time. Travis Kelce last year looked like a 35-year-old. This year, I know entering this season he was 35. He turned 36 in October, but during this season, Kelce looked a little younger than 36. I would say a little. He was not in his prime, but Travis Kelce finished the season with 851 receiving yards, a little more than last year. And by the way, far fewer receptions. He had 76 receptions, far less targets, 133 targets last year, 108 targets this year. He averaged just north of 11 yards a catch. That is the second lowest of his career, but it's far better than what it was last season. He had 5 touchdown grabs, 2 more than what he had last year. And listen, shoulda, woulda, coulda, we'll never know. But I do believe that if Patrick Mahomes did not get injured in that Chargers game, Travis Kelce, I think, was on his way to having 1,000 receiving yards. Because he already surpassed the 800-yard mark when Mahomes got injured. In the Tennessee game, he only had 1 catch for 6 yards. In the Broncos game on Christmas, he had 5 for 36 yards. And in the Raiders game, where he surpassed the 13,000-yard mark for his career, only the third tight end ever to do so, alongside Tony Gonzalez and Jason Witten, he had 3 catches for 12 yards. So his receiving numbers are. And by the way, for those out there, they'll talk about, Patrick Mahomes needed Andy Reid more than Andy Reid needed him. Listen, Andy Reid's a great head coach, but the Chiefs' offense was a disaster without Mahomes. It was already struggling with Mahomes, but you can tell with the way the Chiefs played the last 3 games. And listen, they didn't play a gauntlet of teams. I mean, that Broncos game was pretty winnable. The Raiders game was winnable, and the Raiders are not a good football team. That was a game where it was just field goals and a safety. The Tennessee game, that was not, that was Tennessee's best win of the season. That was their Super Bowl last year. But that was not a good Tennessee team. And the Chiefs didn't score a touchdown in that game either. I mean, Kansas City only scored one touchdown in 3 games without Mahomes. Mahomes masked a lot of the issues that are right now going on with this team. Not that there's ever a good time for an injury, and obviously you're hoping that Mahomes can come back and be ready for week 1. But if there's anything, I kind of feel like the Mahomes injury was a little bit of a blessing in disguise because it really helped expose some of the real issues on this football team that Patrick Mahomes has masked for quite some time. And I think if you're Brett Veach, and way easier said than done, because it's not going to be too difficult to get under the salary cap as high as their cap is over right now in the red. They're not going to have a lot of money to work with at the end of the day this offseason. That's why I've said many times, I don't know if they're going to make a big free agent splash. And that's why I think Trent McDuffie is a serious trade candidate, because you're not going to have a big free agent splash. So you need to hit a home run in the draft. It is imperative that the Chiefs have a very similar draft to what they had in 2022 and 2021. Because if you're going to bring back Travis Kelce, if you're going to bring back Tyquan Thornton, I think those are 2 very good moves for your offense. But you got to have a little more as well. And what does Kansas City do to try to improve the rest of the offense? Do they bring in a right tackle? Is Jalen Moore the guy? Is left guard something that they're considering right now? Or are they comfortable with Kingsley Suamataia? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot to figure out for Kansas City this offseason. And again, that's considering their salary cap situation. On the defensive side, I'm more concerned about the defense for this offseason than the offense. Because, by the way, to mix in there, Hollywood Brown might be a player they consider bringing back. I don't know. It's something I asked before I get into the defense. I asked on my social media, and I was kind of surprised. There were a lot of mixed responses to this. I asked you guys, would the Chiefs consider bringing back DeAndre Hopkins? Because keep in mind, DeAndre Hopkins, when he was in Kansas City, that was when they had Matt Nagy as the offensive coordinator and Connor Embry as the wide receivers coach. Now they have Chad O'Shea as the wide receivers coach and Eric Bieniemy back as OC. And I think DeAndre Hopkins would benefit from that. Not only that, because I mentioned multiple times already, you got to be mindful of the salary cap situation the Chiefs are in. They can't spend big money. DeAndre Hopkins left Kansas City, became a free agent, and he signed with the Ravens. He signed a 1-year deal worth $4 million with incentives that could have gotten him up to $5 million. That is extremely cheap for a future Hall of Fame wide receiver, and he had his moments this year. What if he comes back to Kansas City? If the Chiefs were to give DeAndre Hopkins the exact same deal, a 1-year deal worth $5 million, including incentives, I would want to see the Chiefs make that move. I don't see any issue with that at all. I'd love to see Hopkins come back for another season. Getting to know Mahomes for a full off season, that I think will be beneficial for both sides. Because I don't think we ever saw that potential with DeAndre Hopkins in Kansas City. Yes, he's old. I recognize that. He's from the same draft class as Travis Kelce, who is sort of flirting with retirement right now. But I think if you give DeAndre Hopkins a full off season, and listen, DeAndre Hopkins would not be relied upon as your primary target and the guy who you throw to over and over again. No, I think the beauty of this Chiefs team, and I know they didn't look good last year, and I think the personnel must improve, but I also put a lot of that on coaching as well. And the Chiefs have made that adjustment like I wanted them to. Let's say you do sign Hopkins on a cheap deal, and maybe they don't do that. I don't know, but let's say they do it. You got Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Hopkins, maybe Tyquan Thornton. Man, I really hope they make that happen. You got Jalen Royals as part of your team. Maybe Hollywood Brown comes back. We'll see about Juju Smith-Schuster. Dude, that's a pretty good group of wide receivers to work with. There's a lot of danger speed with that wide receiver room alone. And if Travis Kelce comes back, and again, I told you the numbers, Travis Kelce was far better this year than last year. His average was much higher, and he was on pace for getting 1,000 receiving yards up until the Mahomes injury. We'll see what they do with running back. Kareem Hunt may come back. If they want to look at cheaper options, and if they think Pacheco would do better with Bieniemy back, I'm not dismissing that idea. I know a lot of you guys do not like that idea, but I think that idea is on the table more than I think some people realize. Rashard Smith, can Eric Bieniemy make Rashard Smith look like Jerick McKinnon? I think he can. Keep in mind, Jerick McKinnon's last good season was Bieniemy's last season in Kansas City. So that's something to keep in mind in terms of what the Chiefs are going to do this offseason. Because again, I don't think the Chiefs are making a big free agent splash this year. They're not. Yes, they'll get enough money to get under the salary cap, but I think it's going to be just enough to re-sign some key free agents. I think that's what it comes down to. Robert says old Kelce is better than Noah Gray. Yeah, Noah Gray kind of had a disappointing season this past year, especially when the year before he had kind of a nice growth that season. So I'm curious to see if Noah Gray, because they like Noah Gray a lot. They signed him to an extension. What can he do with a better coaching staff now in Kansas City? Travis is a team leader in the locker room. He is still productive and inspiring. And if he trains like he did last year, he will be great, Ann says. KC needs a running game. I agree. Look at Seattle tonight. They did not have the greatest game offensively in their passing game, which has been their bread and butter to get to the Super Bowl. Jackson Smith and Jigba won Offensive Player of the Year. They won 14 games because of this passing game. But Kenneth Walker was a huge part of tonight's success for the Seahawks, hence them winning the Super Bowl. Brad says we got to get younger, not older. I don't disagree, but you got to keep one thing in mind. First off, I do think you're going to get younger. Listen, you're going to re-sign Kelce. Maybe there's a chance they might consider Hopkins if the price is right. But I still think you will get significantly younger. Right now, and I don't think people realize this, yes, right now, the Chiefs only have 6 draft picks. That's not much. But you're going to get 2 draft picks, compensatory picks, from the Justin Reed signing and the Turk Wharton signing. Turk Wharton going to Carolina and Justin Reed going to New Orleans. I think they're going to both be day 4 draft picks, so it's not going to be anything too big, but Kansas City will take that. And on top of that, I think you get at least 2 draft picks trading Trent McDuffie. So I think there are 4 draft picks that are on the way to Kansas City. So you've got a really good chance to get younger, especially as an offense. And again, I don't know what the draft is going to look like. Of the 3 guys that the Chiefs are probably considering the most with the number 9 pick being David Bailey, Reuben Bain Jr., and Jeremiah Love, I think those have to be your 3 biggest options. One of those guys they've got to make a difference. And listen, I've been on the Reuben Bain Jr. train, but with Eric Bieniemy back, and we've seen a lot of running backs thrive under Eric Bieniemy. Jamal Charles had his best season in Kansas City with Bieniemy as his running backs coach. Spencer Ware and Charkandrick West looked really good that 1 year filling in for Jamal Charles. Spencer Ware was a good pass-catching running back in 2016. 2017, and Bieniemy's last year as a running backs coach, Kareem Hunt, rookie Kareem Hunt, led the league in rushing yards. And then, we know the story with Kareem Hunt getting kicked out in Bieniemy's first year as the OC, but Damian Williams played really well in the postseason for the Chiefs. LaShawn McCoy was okay. And I know they didn't really get along, but thought McCoy was okay in that 1 year he played for the Chiefs. And then when Bieniemy left, or actually, let me go rewind a little bit. Bieniemy's last running back in Kansas City, who was it? Isaiah Pacheco. Pacheco was almost undrafted. And if you listen to a lot of the broadcasters on TV for Chiefs games in 2022, they were talking about how did Isaiah Pacheco almost go undrafted? Like that guy looked like he had a good future at one point. And I know right now he's kind of in limbo with what his future might look like. But I think that's a product of Eric Bieniemy just bringing the best out of running backs. So as much as I am on the Reuben Bain Jr. train, I'll be honest with you guys, man. Ever since Eric Bieniemy has come back to the Chiefs, I'm man, like hypothetically speaking, and I don't think this is going to happen, but let's say Reuben Bain Jr. is on the board and somehow, some way, so is Jeremiah Love. I don't know, man. I'm kind of leaning towards Jeremiah Love because, as a couple of you guys have said tonight, the Chiefs do need a running game. And even, by the way, here's another thing to consider as to why the Chiefs should consider Love over Reuben Bain Jr. It's because Patrick Mahomes is coming off that torn ACL injury, and not just any torn ACL injury, a late season injury. And I think Mahomes can definitely use some help at the running back position. And Jeremiah Love, a lot of people think, can be a really good running back in this league for years to come. Who would I want back, Thornton or Hopkins? Definitely Thornton, for sure. Now, let me just bear with me because I do have the list of free agents. Let me pull that up. How many free agents are all under contract? How many wide receivers, are under contract with the Chiefs? Not many. Let me pull this up real quickly here. Here are your free agent wide receivers: Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton, and Nico Remigio. You have 4 wide receivers who are getting ready to hit free agency. So that means the wide receivers who are under contract, Rashee Rice, we don't really know his status right now, but it sounds like he's not going to face any consequences. Whether he did or didn't do something, that's a different topic. Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Jalen Royals. Rice, Worthy, Royals. Thornton's a free agent, Hollywood's a free agent, Jude's a free agent, and Remigio's a free agent. That's not good. Now, you brought back Jimmy Holiday and Jason Brownlee, guys who, have made flashes in training camp and in the preseason. Those guys might just be there for depth purposes. So I think there's a possibility of still getting an old veteran receiver out there. And that's why I'm tossing out DeAndre Hopkins' name, because not only is he the veteran, he has a little bit of familiarity with Patrick Mahomes, but he's also going to be relatively cheap. Given Kansas City's cap situation, that's what you want right now. And I hate to say it, because in order to get something good, you have to spend some money. And Kansas City right now, they don't have a lot of money to spend, even when they do get under the cap. Because look, I think they're going to bring back Matt Araiza. James Winchester, he's up there in age, so we'll see what happens with him. I think they really want to bring back Leo Chenal. I think they really want to bring back Tyquan Thornton. Obviously, Travis Kelce. I think Kareem Hunt's also on the table of coming back. Do they bring back Dameon Pierce? Possibly, maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of guys on this list. They have, 6, 12, 18, 25, 26. They have 27 free agents, man. 27. There's a lot to figure out there if you're Kansas City. So that's why I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm also not. I think we have to be open to it possibly happening, because Hopkins is a veteran that's not going to cost you much. And right now, you only have 3 wide receivers under contract: Royals, Rice, and Worthy. That ain't good. And listen, Kansas City's already in a terrible situation with the cap. So it is kind of a tough situation to be in. That's why, not to sound like a broken record and repeat myself, that's why I'm tossing the idea of Isaiah Pacheco possibly coming back. I don't think that's the sexiest and most exciting idea in the world. But if you're Kansas City, what options do you have? Because it's either bring back Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt for a really cheap price, because neither one of those two are going to cost you much, or pray to the football gods that Jeremiah Love is going to drop to 9. Because I really do think it's either Pacheco and Hunt or Love. Maybe there's a chance that Kareem Hunt comes back either way. But man, I mean, your options aren't really. You guys tell me. I'm not going to pretend to be some expert with the salary cap. I know what the Chiefs need to do to get under the cap. Restructuring Mahomes and Jones contracts. Maybe they both sign new extensions. I said re-sign. Technically, they're not re-signing. They would be signing new extensions so they can get rid of their big cap numbers. But that would help a lot. Cutting Mike Dana and Juwan Taylor is going to help tremendously. Trading Trent McDuffie will help a little bit as well. I know Trent McDuffie wants a big contract. How are the Chiefs going to afford Trent McDuffie? I don't want to see Trent McDuffie wear any other team's jersey. I don't. The same way I didn't want to see Tyreek Hill, L'Jarius Sneed, or Joe Thuney move on. But you had to make those moves for financial reasons. Not because you wanted to, because you had to. And I know it doesn't look good with the Chiefs trading Thuney because he just won the inaugural Protector of the Year award. So the Chiefs have a lot of decisions to make in the coming weeks. The combine's going to be coming up very soon, and that's when a lot of deals get made with free agents because agents are there, teams are there, scouts are there, coaches, GMs, everyone's there. So we'll see what ends up happening in the coming weeks. But sounds like Travis Kelce is expected to come back, and that's expected to be finalized at some point soon, according to Diana Rossini and also by Ian Rappaport this weekend. Because keep in mind, with the Super Bowl, there are a lot of agents and there are a lot of people who are in the know that are at these Super Bowl events. And, there's a lot of off-the-record conversations that occur. So that's why these Travis Kelce rumors are coming out at the time that they are. So I know he was at the Super Bowl today. So we'll see what ends up happening for Travis Kelce and the Chiefs and what they end up doing. But sounds like a deal is going to be finalized pretty soon rather than later. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. A big congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks on winning Super Bowl 60. And the path to Super Bowl 61 officially begins. We'll see what the Chiefs do. We'll have a lot to discuss tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time. Join me there. And by the way, real quickly, before we get out of here, shockingly, nobody asked this tonight, so I'm going to be the one who brings it up. I know plenty of you have been asking about whether or not there is an update regarding a live podcast with a live audience. We are extremely close on finalizing that. I can't quite say much. All I can say is it's going to be near the end of March. So that's the only thing I can say at this time. I know a lot of you guys want to make plans and try to be available for this event. I would love for all of you guys to be there. Be ready because I think we're going to make an announcement very, very soon. I'm excited for it to happen. I'm not someone that's good at keeping secrets. So right now, keeping a secret at this moment is not easy for me. But a lot of you guys have been asking about this. We are expected to make an official announcement very, very soon. So for those of you that are interested in that, stay tuned. We'll have official word on that. Hopefully this week. Yes, hopefully this week. That's all I can say. All right, guys, my name is Farzin Vasugian. Thank you all for joining me for this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. If you guys enjoyed any part of this podcast, please share it on your social media feeds. Let your friends know about the Chiefs Zone Podcast. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, youtube.com/@thechiefszone. If you missed any part of this live stream, it'll be archived shortly on Facebook, YouTube, X, Apple, Spotify, anywhere where you can download and listen to the Chiefs Zone Podcast. Once again, I am Farzin Vasugian. Thank you all for joining me tonight. I will talk to you all tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time. Take care.